Hello and welcome to the second part of the SolderCore data logging demonstration. In the previous video, if you didn't see it, we logged data from the temperature sensor and the ambient light sensor to the onboard micro SD card. We're going to take that original program and we're going to extend it so we can take those values and upload them to the online data service. Used to be called PTube, has recently changed its name to COSM. This is the COSM website, as mentioned earlier. This is where we're going to send our data a sample at a time and then display it for all to see. To view the SolderCore feed, if you just go up to the search box and type SolderCore and press the search button, you should come across our feeds. Currently we have 3 feeds. We may increase this. The one that we're really interested in is the top one here. If we click on that, what we should see is 2 feeds. Which is currently running as I speak, and we are sending to the site both the light level in lux and the ambient temperature, as you can see there. You can also change the scale, so we can move this down to the last 5 minutes. We can do the same down here if you'd like as well. But this is live data, so this is what I'm going to show you how to do today using the SolderCore and Core Basic. We're ready to write some code down the SolderCore, so as always we'll telnet in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Excellent, and we'll load straight from where we were before, so we'll load that program. Make sure that worked. Brilliant, there's the code that we wrote in the last demo, and we'll give it a new name now. Just going to log into for intermediate. Okay, and we'll go and edit it, typing edit. Brilliant. So first thing I'll do is I'll update the comment to something a bit more meaningful. Okay. Right, rather than type out the entire program or function, I've actually already written it. I'll just copy and paste it to save some time and go through it. So it makes some sense. So you can actually paste code into the editor, which you can see here. It's getting fed in. It's not me typing really quickly. And just return that last line, and we'll go through it. So, okay. So we defined a procedure. It's called PTube, and we passed in 3 variables: ID, DataStream ID, and my data. We've got a key which is required by COSM or PTube to allow you to upload data. So to open a connection to the server, you need to use the keyword socket. If you go through the Core Basic manual, there's some information about socket and what you can do with it. But this is a demo on how you open one and assign it to a variable. So in this case, we're opening a socket port 80 to the URL api.cosm.com. We then check to see if the socket's open correctly with this check statement here. If it doesn't, we just return out of the function and print a message to the screen. If all is successful, then we need to start sending some data to COSM. So to do that, we need to print to the socket. So the normal prints are just printing to the standard outputs, but print #s is printing to the socket. So these few lines here, these few are really what's described by the COSM API. So we're sending a put request plus an ID. We're sending data in a CSV format. We have to send it the key, the secret key, which is defined above, which I will be changing, and then we send the data. The data is actually passed into this function as a variable. And also the length of the data needs to be sent. So the bits that are remmed out here are, these would allow us to look at the header data to make sure that all has been successful. So if we have successfully sent data to the website, the COSM site should return with a code 200. For the moment, I'm not particularly interested in that. I did check it was working earlier, it was fine. But for the moment, what we'll do is we'll just prove this function's working, or at least write some code to try and try and upload to the website. So what we'll do is we need to call this data. So let's use the arrow keys, and not in there, we want it in the main loop. So somewhere in here we need to call the function. We actually need to call it twice. Once to send the ambient temperature and once to send the ambient light. So once again I can copy and paste because I've already done this to save some time, and then we'll do the same for the light. So that. I'm just going to save it at this point. Let's have a quick check to make sure it looks okay. So this is the ID of the feed, it's the name of the feed, and as we're sending it in CSV format or comma separated variable, we send the temperature, comma, and then the value, which is all it really requires, and then we do it again, but that next time for the light level. So what I'm going to do now is run the code and make sure there's no errors. Okay, got an error there. Oops, I thought we fixed that previously. I obviously didn't save that. Okay, I'll try and run that again, and hopefully what we'll see is some data being printed to the screen saying that everything is all okay. Okay, that looks like that's working. What I'll do now, I'm just going to stop the code. Control D, clear the screen. Okay, so that looks like it's worked. What we need to do now really is have the website viewable, and then we'll turn the light on and off, try and increase the temperature and see if we can see the feeds working properly. I'll just check that once more time to make sure it's working. One other thing I'm going to do, we've got a few failed connects there, is I'm going to slow the whole process down. So I'll go back in and edit. And what we can do is use the pause keyword. Pause for 5 seconds there. I'm not really interested in logging data to the micro SD card at the moment. Let's just edit that. Oops. And run. Should be a bit slower then. Okay, so it's measured the temperature, measured the lux. Sending a put request. Okay, that looks like it's working. Excellent. So what we need to do now is set up the website so we can see if this data's going to be appearing there. So I'm just going to stop this code. Okay, so I've set up the screen now so we can see the program in action. On the left hand side here we've got the Cosmos debug panel, which shows you the connections coming in. As you can see, it's awaiting incoming requests. For the last few minutes we've had nothing while I set up the capture. On the right hand side is a core basic session. So what I'm hoping to demonstrate now is that when I hit run, we'll start to see requests coming in on the Cosm website. So to run it, we can either hit F5 or type run. I'll just type run for a second and press return, and almost instantly you can see a request on the Cosm page, which is great. So, and another request has come in as the light's been sent up, which is superb, and a third one. So what we've got here, we've sent up temperature of 23 degrees, a lux of 484. Okay, to make this a little bit more dynamic now, what I'm going to do is again cover my light switch and touch my temperature sensor, so it should go darker and warmer at the same time. I'm just going to do like so. Give it a few samples. So light level's 467 at the moment on the right hand side. Temperature is 25. It's gone up a couple of degrees already. And you can see the lux levels dropped right down to 3.9 lux. Okay, so that's all well and good. So the requests are coming in. What we'll do now is we'll go onto the COSM sort of viewer page. So if we just click on SolderCore, click on the console. Okay, not interested in the tweets. Let's click on here, and we need to change the scale a little bit here. So at the moment we're at 6 hours. Change that to 5 minutes, and the same on the bottom. And you can see is the sort of ambient light level 484, and as I put my hand over it, it's dropped right down to 2.92, and then back up as I let go again. And you can see the same with the temperature. It's a sort of 23 degrees average. With my finger on briefly, it's risen to 26 degrees. So anybody will be able to view this if you log into the COSM website and search for SolderCore. You'll be able to view the feeds. I may in time add more sensors, which is a relatively straightforward thing to do. Just as an example, if you go into the editor, we can install more sensors in the same method here. So it could be the pressure sensor, perhaps the magnetometer, or whatever else that we have in stock at the time. And then you can access the data using a similar method, and then call the methods here and just passing the new variables. So hopefully that's given you a bit of an insight on how to use Core Basic. Hopefully in this demo you have a real rudimentary understanding of using sockets and connecting to remote servers and sending up information. Hopefully we'll add to this later on, but in the meantime, enjoy.